Good morning, geometry students. Just a few quick things for you to be aware of as you get ready to take your quiz on Monday. I just need to make sure that you know where to find things and what sections you're focusing on when you make your notes sheet so you can take your quiz independently. First of all, you need to be able to use cross multiplication. We had used that quite a few times, and in this section especially we had used cross multiplication, not right there, but we had used it in order to solve problems. So you could use cross products to be able to solve. So that's one of your skills. Make sure you can do that whether there's an individual variable or whether there is other variables that are involved in including with their sums. Okay, another thing that you would need to be able to do would be to write a similarity ratio. In other words, a scale factor. We call them scale factors sometimes and similarity ratios in other times. So for example, you had in section 1 where you were supposed to find the scale factor, which would be the number that you had. Sorry about this. Okay, when all of the ratios were the same, okay, you would be able to find the scale factor or similarity ratio. So there were those things. If you need help, you need to go back and rewatch the video. Okay, also in section 1, once you had the similarity ratio, you would be able to write a proportion to find missing pieces of similar figures. In other words, you'll be using the cross multiplication again once you write the ratio to solve, and that came down through in here. Like for example, when we had all of the different pieces that you needed to put the pieces that went together over top, and that comes through quite a few different places in the different sections as well. Okay, another thing that you need to be able to do is to determine if the side lengths could make similar triangles. And we looked at that a second ago in section 1. Okay, now it may not necessarily be written in this way where you have the triangles set up. It might be like you would check to see if 3 and 4 and 5 and the triangle 8 and 9 and 10 could be similar, and you would have to compare them piece by piece just like this to make sure that your fractions were equal. And if the fractions were equal, you would have a scale factor and it would be similar, but if they were not the same number all consistently, then it would not be. So you need to make sure that you can do that. Okay, now you will be using your OneNote sheet for this, so you can put whatever you want on there. Also in section 2, it's also mentioned about that. A lot of these do overlap. So in section 2, once again, you could have your similarity ratios. So for example, don't forget if you have something like this, that you do have similar ratios even if there isn't overlapping. So there is something along those lines in your quiz for you to be able to find and solve for those missing pieces. So you need to make sure you know all of the things for all the sections. Okay. You need to know the 3 ways of showing that triangles are similar: angle-angle similarity, side-side-side similarity, and side-angle-side similarity. And those were found in section 11.2. So you would need to be able to, like for example, determine if you had 2 proportional sides and the angle included to show that they were similar. Or you might go through and find that when you compare all the sides that you get that they aren't similar. Okay, or you might go through and find that when you do compare the sides that they are similar, but it was the side, and side scenario. And then the other one, that if you know that you have 2 angles congruent, then the whole triangles are similar. So you need to make sure that you know about those things. And then also understanding that in similar polygons, not only are the sides similar, but the angles are congruent. So if you were supposed to find some kind of a missing angle in one of these problems, you need to understand that you're not really doing any work. You're just saying which one equals which one. So for example, in a scenario like this, if we knew that this was 30 degrees, that would also have to be 30 degrees because they're similar figures. Okay, so that's important. You also have to be able to identify similar triangles in that right triangle scenario that we talked about in section 3. So for example, if you know the angle, that triangle ABD is similar to something, you would need to be able to then figure out, if you have it in ABD order, that BCD would be the similar triangle that goes with that. So you have to be able to, in other words, line up the corresponding parts and have your similar triangles identified. And then the other things from section 3 that you need to know, okay, it's to be able to solve the missing segments using the geometric mean, and that was the bulk of the lesson. Okay, being able to not just find the geometric mean, that was a tool to get you going, but then being able to use these templates, okay, to put the different things in the different spots. If I were you, I would put this on my note sheet along with possibly an example or two from the end of that lesson so that you can do them. These are tricky, okay, but not impossible because you paid attention really well. I did notice the view count was up on that last one, so that's good. So make sure that you're learning and studying these things. I don't want to take a lot of your time today on that. I wanted to give you topics, and then it's up to you to study. And please make sure you fill out the form to say what you have done to study. All right, that's it. That's all I've got for you today. God bless you, and have a great weekend.